Hey everyone, it's God Brother, and I wanted to take some time to address a question that somebody asked me yesterday. They basically went ahead, not word for word, but they basically asked me, why am I the way that I am now? What led to me behaving the way I behave? And what they meant to say was that I'm so quick to move forward and move on with anything that's negative, anything that's holding me back, anything that's just counter progressive. And they want to know why. And I've always felt that never needed an explanation. Progress is growth. Growth is good. But now I'm starting to realize, I've realized it before, but now it's clearer now more than it's ever been that the majority of people just don't like change. They don't like clarity, and they don't like growth. And it's really because, for many reasons, really, they have a hard time adjusting. That's one. I feel like this society breeds creatures of habit. Even when you're in preschool, you're given a routine. You show up at a certain time. At a certain time, you do this. But you can't do that. You have to do it at this time. Then you leave at a certain time. You go to bed at a certain time. And some people just grow up to be adults, and they need someone to give them a routine. They can't do it themselves. Someone's always been doing it for them. And it's always been an institution. So change really sets them back, where it's hard for them to learn because they don't learn often. They choose to just kind of follow a rhythm. And in terms of clarity, one guy said it the best to me, a fellow coworker. And I had went ahead and made the statement, why is it that people are bothered when you gain knowledge, when you're stronger, when you have foresight, when you can see things coming and you avoid them and you act on that knowledge? Why is it that people almost dislike someone who's wise? And he basically said, because if you're smart, you're making them look stupid. Where you're showing that you're superior than that person. And that made all the sense in the world to me. And then the third one is progress. And for the same reason they don't like clarity and they may not like change. Progress is the proof in the pudding that this person is smarter than you and this person has more wisdom than you do. Well, that's how they see the world. That's how they view it. They view it as an insult to their character, to their knowledge. When in reality, it really isn't. We're just people living our own lives. We're not athletes where in order for me to win, everyone has to lose. I feel like that's where the crabs in a bucket metaphor comes from, where anyone who's trying to do better, everyone else is going to try to pull them down. So that way they feel comfortable because now there's more people like them. And I could just never agree with that. I never saw that as a good excuse. To me, that's like an insecurity that everyone else has to pay for, where it's your job to improve yourself. It's your job to raise your own self-esteem. Hence the word self before the word esteem. And I can't slow my process. I can't stop. I can't stop moving away from negativity. I can't stop growing. I can't stop learning in order to make you feel better, because I'm contributing to myself and I'm doing it for myself. By myself. I'm not manipulating anyone into getting any goals for me. I'm not bragging about it. Half of the things I accomplish, I don't even tell anyone because I don't do it for anyone. And going back to the question that the person asked me, why is it that I act the way that I act now, is because when I was younger, I was always told, growing up in the Bronx, I was always told I wasn't going to amount to much. And it's crazy when that statement comes from people who are in the exact same scenario as you, where we all have nothing, but you're not going to be shit. I can't wrap my head around it. And it just might be that where it's like, well, I don't have much, but at least I'm better than this guy. So once at that point, you always try to do things to kind of show your worth and prove everyone wrong. And that just wasn't working for me. It was always a struggle. It would always fall back on me. And it would make things harder moving forward in any aspect. But there came a point where I stopped worrying so much about how people perceived me and trying to keep up with peer pressures or just kind of social status quos. And I stopped being involved in things that really didn't matter for me, where I was just doing it kind of just to belong in some other sort of group. And I started doing things for myself. And that's when everything started kind of coming together. My path strayed, but I went in the right direction. I had my own hardships, but they led to a better outcome than where I was. Because the outcome would have been extremely negative if I would have stayed on that path. Because the saying goes, you can't please everyone. And it's very true. But when you're doing something completely different and most people don't agree with it because they fundamentally don't like those three things: clarity, change, and progress, you're going to get a lot of negative feedback from people. They're going to shun you in a way. And that's fine. You have to be able to live with that. That's what hard choices are. But they yield better results for you in your life. My thing is, don't harm anyone in your process, in your come up. Don't manipulate others into giving you what you don't have. You have to complete yourself. Others can't help you get to your goal. You might be able to partner with someone because they have a similar goal, but if you need transportation and you go ahead and align yourself with someone who has a car and you pretend to be their friend and you pretend they're interested in their lives and you try to contribute in any way just to have them transport you, that's manipulation. That's really what you're doing, because you feel like you can't transport yourself, where you can't go and do the things that are necessary to get transportation for yourself. As long as you're not manipulating or hurting anyone in your process, it shouldn't matter to all the other crabs in the bucket. Because if one crab can climb, that means they all can climb. But if you're content staying where you are, then that's a choice that you made, and that's no one else's fault except yours, because you control your own destiny. You control your own future. So I can never agree with that, and that's just one of those things that just builds your character as a human being. There are things you're going to be able to bend back and forth with. There are things that you can agree with on some level. There are things that you respectfully disagree with, which is very key. A lot of people don't know how to respectfully disagree anymore. And there are things that you just don't ever agree with and you won't budge. And that's one of those things for me, where that kind of insecurity, where it forces someone to feel negatively and hostile towards you, thus leading them to bring you down in any kind of way, is not allowed. It's not allowed.